Hello everyone, it's Chantel from Crocheting, and welcome to this tutorial on how to crochet a cutie pie. This is a no-sew pattern, aside from the stitching on the top, and is relatively beginner friendly. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The materials that you'll need include a crochet hook, a sewing or darning needle, a stitch marker, I personally use a bobby pin, some scissors, 12mm safety eyes, some polyfill stuffing, tan super bulky yarn, and a secondary super bulky yarn color that you would like your pie filling to be. I chose dark blue for a blueberry pie. You will also need to know the single crochet, increase, decrease, magic ring, fastening off, and working in the front loop only and the back loop only. To start, we will be using the tan colored yarn and creating a magic ring. As some of you know, I like to close off my magic rings before working single crochets into them. I find this helps prevent the yarn from snapping. And for row 1, we will be working 6 single crochets into the magic ring. And this is what your work should look like. There should be a total of 6 stitches. And then for round 2, we will be doing 6 increases around. An increase is simply working 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So we will do this a total of 6 times to have 12 stitches by the end of the round. And your work should look like this so far. For round 3, we will simply be doing a single crochet and then an increase for a total of 6 times. By the end of the row, you should have a total of 18 stitches around. And your work should look like this. For round 4, we will be increasing to 24 stitches. To do that, we will do 2 single crochets and then an increase for a total of 6 times around. And this is what your work should look like. We will now be working on the last row of increases, and we will be increasing to 30 stitches around. To do this, we will do 3 single crochets and then an increase 6 times. And this is what your work will look like. We will now be getting started on row 6. For this row, we will simply be doing 30 single crochets around for a total of 30 stitches. You should start to see a dome shape forming with your work. For row 7, we will once again be doing 30 single crochets around, but this time we will be working in the back loops only. So once again, that is 30 single crochets around in the back loop only. If you would like, put a stitch marker in the front loop only of this row so it's easier to find later on when we have to work single crochets into it. As you can see, there should be a line of front loop onlys. For this next row, row 8, we will be decreasing to 24 stitches around. To do that, we will do 3 single crochets and then a decrease for a total of 6 times. And this is what your work should look like. For the next 2 rows, rows 9 and 10, we will be working single crochets all the way around. So that is a total of 24 single crochets per row, and there will be 2 rows. I will be doing that off camera, and then I will come back. And this is what your work should look like. We are now going to insert the safety eyes. You just need 2 of your 12mm safety eyes. And you will be inserting them between rounds 7 and 8. Insert the safety eyes 6 stitches apart. It does not have to be 6 visible stitches, just 6 stitches in general. I am now going to go off camera and put the backings of the safety eyes on, and I will come back once I have completed that. I have now completed putting the backings on the safety eyes. I will now get started on row 11. We will be working once again in the back loop only. For this row, we will do a total of 12 decreases around. So we will be decreasing from 24 stitches to just 12 stitches. The purpose of this drastic decrease is to help make the bottom of the pie lay flat. And this is what your work should look like. We are now going to begin stuffing up the pie using our polyfill. And for the last row, we will be doing a total of 6 decreases around. To decrease from 12 stitches to just 6 stitches. To fasten off, after our last decrease, we will slip stitch into the next stitch and cut a tail for sewing the opening closed. Taking your needle, weave the end of the yarn onto the needle and weave through the front loops only of the last 6 stitches. Once you have done this, you will pull the yarn tight to close the opening. Then tie a simple knot to keep the hole closed. Then weave in your tail. And this is what your pie should look like so far. We are now going to get started on the crust of the pie. To do this, hold your work upside down, so the bottom of the pie is at the top and the top is at the bottom. Then insert your crochet hook into one of the front loops. I like to make a slip knot with my yarn, but you don't have to. Then pull it through the first loop and chain 1. And then in that same stitch, do a single crochet. We will be doing a total of 4 single crochets. After your 4th single crochet, you will do an increase stitch. Repeat this pattern around for a total of 6 times. By the end, you should have a total of 36 stitches. After your last increase, you will find the first stitch of the row and slip stitch into it. This will be to fasten off the row. Cut off the excess yarn and you will weave in your tails. I have finished weaving in my tails, and this is what your pie should look like so far. We are now going to get started on the pie filling details. As you can see, there are a total of 6 stripes across rows 2 to 3 of the pie. The tops of the stripes are each 1 stitch apart, and the bottoms are a total of 3 stitches apart. You are now going to attach your pie filling color onto your needle. And then insert your needle between rounds 3 and 4 and have it exit between rounds 1 and 2. Be sure to pull a long tail through. Insert your needle back into where you entered it and have the needle exit 3 stitches over between rounds 3 and 4. You have finished your first pie stripe. Then bring the needle straight up 1 stitch away from the previous stripe and have the needle exit in 1 more stitch to the right. That is your second stripe completed. Once again, go over 3 stitches from the bottom stripe and insert your needle there and have the needle exit 3 more stitches to the right. I will now do the rest off camera, and this is what your finished pie should look like. Thank you so much for following this tutorial and sticking to the end. Comment down below which flavor of pie you made. I personally prefer the blueberry pie over the strawberry, but I love to hear your opinions. Stay tuned for weekly free pattern tutorials. I post them every Friday, and free Amigurumi Basic tutorials every Tuesday. Please subscribe if you like this kind of content, and I'll see you guys next week.